look at this bunch. Wow, wow, wow. Welcome to the We Pick'em Super Bowl edition. Good day to everybody. Dominic Papa here at the We Digital Productions Studios. And yes, look at this esteemed panel of football minds we have assembled to break down today's championship game. We are coming to you live from our studio here on the day of Super Bowl 54. Gentlemen, thank you for coming in. Great to have you in. Coach Circelli, how's the offseason going for you?
It's going really well.
Yeah.
We're hitting the recruiting trail, and we're doing everything we can to really sell the brand of the university, and looking forward to kind of getting to the spring here.
Yeah, all three of you guys are actually in the recruiting kind of mode. Your camp actually not too far away, Coach.
Not too far away, beginning of April.
Yeah.
We're just doing registration and stuff right now, and numbers are looking great, teams are looking great, so we're excited to get
And
rolling.
of course, you got to defend the championship this year. So.
For sure.
So good task at hand, but congrats on the championship last year. And Coach LaChance, of course, of the Fratmen. You'll be hearing some news about them next week, I'm sure, actually.
Yeah, very soon.
If you haven't heard about it already, anyways. But as well, you're recruiting Mike and.
Recruiting coast to coast right now.
Yeah.
It's exciting times. Got a good recruiting class coming in and an outstanding team coming back. Hopefully, get back to our 8th straight championship game. So.
Yeah, that would be nice, and it'd be nice
Yeah.
to win it this time. So,
Yeah.
appreciate you guys taking your time on your Super Bowl Sunday. You guys have any traditions for Super Bowl day? I know we talked earlier today, Coach Circelli. Of course, maybe a little bit different for you this year because you're coming from London. London, I don't know how much NFL talk you get there, but
It's not as big as here, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But for us, some of our families travel down to London to celebrate. Super Bowl is a big deal for us, and kind of one of our traditions is always having a kind of big chili cook-off, and
Okay.
we got the ribs going, so
Oh,
it's
wow.
gonna be a great feast.
you inviting people over? Or I'm free. But sounds great, like a
Yeah.
great day. I know you do a big spread too, right, Coach?
We do. We always have, we'll probably have about 25, 30 people
Wow.
over, and lots of food and wings and all kinds of
Hopefully they're
goodies and
flipping a
stuff,
few
chili
bucks
and-
to you.
Yeah, the only
Help pay
problem
the
is
cost.
that the Pats aren't in it this year, so
Oh, no, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Finally, we get to see
Missing
somebody
my
different.
Pats, but it's okay.
No, that's a
They'll be
good
back.
thing. I think it's a good thing. Give it a change is good. Change is good. So, what about you, Mike? Are you,
Tradition's just to be quiet. I don't
Yeah.
really like the big crowds. I just like to concentrate on the game and have some
you
quiet
get
time.
right into it pretty good.
A little bit.
I know
yeah.
when I even get you on the radio show to talk about it, you've got all your ducks in a row. And
But I'm never right. I never get the prediction right.
no,
so.
you suck when it comes to
Yeah, I would,
prediction.
I would take these two. I would
You
take
really,
these two.
really do, Mike.
I would take these two.
As much as I have to
For
say
sure.
that to you, Coach LaChance,
I know.
your predictions over the years have not
I know.
fared very well.
I'm going to
so.
start to bet on the other teams when I play, then we'll beat them.
Well, we got some numbers for you here to look at.
Yeah,
That'll
thanks.
help the cause a little bit. And it's a great day, though. Certainly the Super Bowl, and they've talked about moving it from Sunday to a Saturday. I think that should happen.
Never will happen.
I don't think it should
Just
happen.
do a
Much
national
college-
holiday on
you're
the
not
Sunday,
allowed
on the
too
Monday.
Many too many college sports and stuff
Yeah.
there as well. It's Sunday, NFL on Sunday.
Yeah. I'd hate to see it moved just because of tradition and stuff like that. So.
That wouldn't make much sense.
No, I don't like it. Okay, so here we go. We got Kansas City and we got the San Francisco 49ers. I'll throw another little quick tidbit at you guys. You think this? I learned football from all of you guys, so I'm going to even up it for you. You guys are going to be proud of me. I can tell you a little tidbit. Every time the Oakland Raiders have moved, and of course they're moving to Vegas, right? San Francisco 49ers have won the Super Bowl.
That's funny.
Fact.
Wow.
Wow,
That's
Wow.
weird.
that's crazy. Yeah.
Okay, come on, give me a little round of applause. Just give us okay. So, but yeah, so it's just stuff like that I've been kind of researching, and it's been interesting to where these people have that much time to dig stuff like that up is
Nerds.
amazing to me. But yeah, good for them. Okay, right now you 12-4 49ers, 13-3. The spread has stayed pretty much at 1.5, like right from the get-go almost. Hasn't changed much. The over-under's at 55. Before we get into the over-under and we'll get predictions on all that towards the end of the show here, guys, we want to look at some of the numbers. So where do we want to start? Let's start with some defense, I guess, and then we'll look at the team comparisons. You guys can start breaking it down for me, and if stats are, I think, important, but I don't know if they tell the story all the time. So, there we go. Thanks a lot, Darren. Total yards allowed. Obviously, everybody's talking about San Francisco's defense, that they're going to be, key factor in this game. You look at their defense, it's better. number-wise anyways. Passing yards allowed, they're significantly better. Rushing yards allowed, somewhat better. Points allowed per game, pretty even. In the turnover ratio, it's an 8-to-4 ratio there. Coach Tricelli, what do you see in these numbers? Are these numbers telling us anything?
I don't know if you can read too much into the numbers. I think a lot of times it just comes down to the actual matchup. And I think I mentioned it earlier. To me, it's how well the defensive line plays, and specifically that pass rush. And I think a lot of times we've seen top teams, and the team that always I think of is anytime New England couldn't get it done in the Super Bowl, you face a vaunted Giants pass rush or a vaunted Eagles pass rush. That's what San Francisco gives you. They can come at you in a lot of different ways, and there's a lot of big playmakers there. And let's not forget the fact that Dee Ford's playing his former team. I think there's going to be a lot of incentive there. I just think it's going to be maybe the one key story that we can look at is the play of the defensive lines. On the flip side, Kansas City is also just as impressive, and I think one guy that's not getting a lot of notoriety, I mean, obviously a guy like Frank Clark comes over from Seattle. He's had a great year. But the late addition of Terrell Suggs might be a key point because he's only going to be playing in key situations, and there'll be a few times where you're looking, here's a specific pass rush situation. I'm not crazy about the San Francisco offensive line, despite as well as they've been rushing. They're not. They're kind of middle of the pack when it comes to pass pro. I see a guy like Suggs maybe wreaking havoc, or if you're going to pay too much attention to Clark, he might be the guy to get through. And obviously the play of Jones has been great as well. So I look at both offensive lines. They're kind of middle of the pack when it comes to pass protection, and I really think it's going to be whichever defensive line can step up. That might be the difference in this game.
Go ahead, Coach Mills. I'm sure you can elaborate on some of that. Or
Yeah, you know what? I think KC's definitely an offensive powerhouse, but I mean they're playing probably, the best defense, maybe the best all-around defense in the league. I mean, I know the Pats were pretty solid, but I just think that. Like Coach said, their defensive line on San Fran is outstanding. It's just outstanding. And I think if they get to Mahomes, he's going to struggle. I mean, he struggled last year when the Pats were able to get to him and he didn't play his best game. I just think they're going to wreak havoc on the guy, and he's not going to be able to do his thing throwing the football as much as he would like. I mean, they're very good against the pass. So.
Coach Deshaun says, is there an advantage at this point in the season? Is it easier on the offensive side or the defensive side?
I don't know if there's an advantage. It all depends on your injury situation, I think.
Yeah.
But both coaches had a great point, that defensive pass rush. But particularly, like Coach Tricelli said, is from the defensive line. Because if San Francisco can generate that pass rush from the defensive line and really pressure Mahomes and get him off the spot, they'll do some damage. They play a lot of cover 3 and cover 4 zone defenses on San Francisco. Not a ton of man coverage. So that under coverage by the linebackers is imperative. If they have to blitz the linebackers, that's where Mahomes has a lot of, he has a field day, hits that speed and space with Watkins and the crew, with the receiving core of Kansas City. Will give San Francisco a lot of trouble if he has some time.
Let's get into some of the players. And Coach Tricelli mentioned Suggs being picked up during the season, things like that. Very experienced player, obviously. Brings a lot of great experience to the table. Is there any players, and I'll let you start with this one, Coach Mills, players that on the defensive side for both teams that could be a difference maker in this game? And I know even before we started, I mentioned Bosa to you here. This guy's just been a monster this year.
And there's a couple other guys on their D-line as well that are outstanding. They got some guys on the bench they can bring in that are pretty solid as well. But I think Bosa will have a fantastic game. And
how do you stop him?
Oh, I don't know if you can stop him. You can slow him down. I don't know if you can stop him. I mean, he's just that dominant. They'll probably do some things, get the ball away quickly and do some different things to try and slow him down a little bit. But he's going to make his plays. I mean, he's just going to make his plays. That's what he does. He's just that dominant.
So is it a case there, Coach Tricelli, where you limit everybody else then, and then kind of?
If you want to put all your eggs into stopping and slowing down Bosa, like I said, there's too many other weapons. It's pretty difficult, and we're not talking about a dominant defense with one player in particular. That whole defensive front is special, and there's a lot of great players in the secondary as well. So, I mean, if there's a guy that might stand out for me, and he probably doesn't get it as much right now, is the play that Sherman has, especially in the playoffs. I mean, you talk a guy about this defense, and some people are saying, well, San Francisco's young, they're not used to being there. Well, Sherman remembers his last Super Bowl. And I'm sure that's etched in his mind, and he's got these guys flying around, and they're going to be dialed in and focused.
Yeah, go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, I agree. The Sherman's a key. I think like I said earlier, with the cover 3 looks, Sherman gets put on an island with some speed over there, that's when then Kansas City can maybe get over the top of him on that deep third. He's not particularly good in long space. He's great in short space. He's a real good read and react guy. But I think Kansas City does some interesting things. They do a lot of 3-by-1, and they isolate Kelsey on the backside. So if they isolate Kelsey against Sherman, Sherman's got the size to match up. However, if they isolate Tyreek Hill on Sherman and they go with a 3 deep set, now you got Tyreek Hill on a deep third on Sherman. That's not a matchup that San Francisco wants. On the flip side of it, as good as Sherman's been, there's a second-year player on the other side of it, 2 second-year players that man that corner spot for San Francisco. That's where I would be worried if I was San Francisco. And you might see San Francisco early on go thirds. If they get over the top of them, they're going to end up going with that cover 4 look. And that's when really Mahomes does his best work in that intermediate group. So he's going to hit that interior seam and that crossing pattern against those linebackers.
We pick 'em Super Bowl edition here today, and we've got Coach J.P. Triscelli from the Lancers, Coach Glenn Mills from the Ravens, Coach Mike LaChance from the AKO Fratman. We're talking about the defensive side of the game. And anything else that any of you want to add before we move on here? And as far as defense, I know we've talked mostly about San Francisco. Who's the key guy for the Chiefs?
Probably Honey Badger in the secondary in Kansas City, really, right?
Yeah.
He moves around, makes a lot of plays.
They haven't done a lot this year. Like,
Yeah.
they haven't been very good defensively. I mean, they've been better the last couple of weeks,
They've made some
but
plays.
they haven't been very good this year. I mean, they just outscore everybody, right?
Yep.
Right, yeah. Kind of like the Oilers in their heyday back when Gretzky and them were playing. You score 6, we're going to score 7. And that's how they won games. So it was pretty
I just
interesting.
think this week they might be, I don't see them putting up, 40 points, like they did the last few weeks. I mean, they've been resilient the last couple of weeks. They've been down early and then fought
get
back,
down.
and I just don't see them doing that again this week. I just don't see it.
I think a big part will be putting the pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo. He's the type of player who's very efficient, but like many quarterbacks that aren't too mobile, once you get that pressure on him, his efficiency drops
Yeah, big
immensely.
time.
So if they can generate a great pass rush from Clark, Suggs, and anyone else that they want to bring in, and not have to bring too many people to the party, they might be all right. But I think that's going to be the key. If they can pressure Garoppolo, they'll have some success. They cannot come back from a 24-point deficit
No,
like
not
they did.
anymore.
last
Oh, God,
week.
no.
Not that running game.
So
Only New England can do that.
Hey,
Right?
same offensive coordinator. Same offensive coordinator on the other side.
There you go, yeah.
Right?
So. Okay, good stuff, guys. That's the defensive side. We're going to take a timeout here on the We Pick 'em show. When we come back, we're going to change our caps, and we're going to put on our offensive thinking caps. We'll look at the numbers there, and we'll get the coach's thoughts about both teams' offenses. You're watching the We Pick 'em Super Bowl edition here at We Digital Productions.
Hello, Herman Moore here. Running down the field and catching touchdown passes for the Detroit Lions is always an incredible feeling. Now, being the best at my position was the goal every season. I never wanted to let my teammates or my coaches down. The competition was always a challenge, and it's one that I look forward to every game. I also know as a player for the Detroit Lions, we had many fans from southwestern Ontario. So on Tuesday, March 10th, I will be joining many great athletes, teams, and sports personalities of Windsor and Essex County as they compete for the coveted Westby Awards. I'm also thrilled to bring you some of my personal experiences as a professional athlete as I take to the stage as the keynote speaker for the evening. Now, it's going to be a night of highlights, anticipation, and celebration. So, be sure to get your tickets. Join me, Herman Moore, for the 15th annual Westby Awards on Tuesday, March 10th at the Caboto Club.
The 15th Annual Westby Awards are brought to you in part by Unifor Local 444, Lucier Glove and Safety, Hotham Building Materials, AM 800 CKLW, and We Digital Productions. Mont's On Time Express has all of your delivery needs covered with a fleet of 50 vehicles, including cargo and sprinter vans, along with 24-foot straight trucks. It doesn't matter if the freight is big or small. Mont's On Time Express can guarantee safe and prompt delivery service throughout Canada and the United States. Licensed to broker freight throughout North America, Mont's On Time Express features same-day delivery service, along with a state-of-the-art dispatching system and live GPS tracking assistance. Mont's is fully insured and Canadian bonded and has certifications with FAST, CT PAT, PIP, and SmartWay. Mont's On Time Express is open 24 hours a day, 364 days a year. To get your delivery moving, contact dispatch at montsontime.ca or call toll-free at 877-250-8282.
Welcome back. Thanks for sticking around. We're talking Super Bowl 54 here on We Pick 'em. No, we're not talking St. Clair College, but we'll talk St. Clair College a little bit later on. We've got Coach J.P. Tricelli of the University of Windsor Lancers, Glenn Mills of the Essex Ravens, and Coach Michael LaChance of the Fratmen. So we've got a great panel here to break down the game for you in our last show of the year. We've had a great time doing the We Pick 'em show, and this is a great way for us to end it. Offensively, we just talked about the defense. Now we're going to talk offense here. As soon as that football stops getting kicked around. Okay, so obviously San Francisco numbers much better on defense. Offensively, I don't know if those numbers are correct. They are, eh? Wow, San Francisco's better than I thought. So everybody's talking about Kansas City's offense, but you know what? Coach LaChance, I'll let you talk. Address some of this first.
Completely different mindsets with two offensive coordinators. You've got Shanahan, who's a younger coach, 40 years old, and but he's from a pedigree, right, with his dad. And he runs that same kind of smash mouth football. It's really a tribute to old school football, where they run the football with not one guy, not two guys, but three guys. They run it inside, they run it outside. A lot of different looks, it's a lot of minutia for the same result. They're going to punch you in the face, and they're going to throw the ball as little as they have to. I mean, we're talking on the break that they had 8 attempted passes last week. So it's one of those things where if Garoppolo doesn't have to have the game on his shoulders, they're going to be in great shape. If they can get on you and get a lead, they're going to grind you out. And it's going to be a tough matchup if Kansas City gets down like they have been the last 2 games. On the flip side of it, Kansas City, a veteran head coach that loves to throw the football and a lot of speed in that receiving core. They got 3 just electric receivers, and then possibly the best tight end, either him or Kittle, best 2 tight ends in the game. And it's interesting. You look at the numbers, and obviously the rushing yards go heavily to San Francisco, but Kansas City can run the ball too. They have a lot of RPO look, and their running game really extends to that short passing game in the flats. So it'll be interesting to see.
All right. Coach Tricelli, what do you think?
You know what? There's so many weapons offensively for the Chiefs, and I don't know if there's anyone can really cover Tyreek Hill. I mean, his speed is second to none. But if you want to put your eggs in that basket, you've got a great tight end that you have to slow down as well. And if they can neutralize both those guys, you've got another guy that often gets forgotten. I know Coach LaChance spoke about him earlier with Sammy Watkins, because he's had his time of being a number 1 as well. I think those 3 guys make it really difficult to just kind of key in on one person, and maybe Williams out of the backfield might be that X factor, because it's not just him carrying the football. Again, you see that more of that West Coast style offense where they like to dump the ball off. He's got great hands, and not so much that it's just a screen game, but those short passes, and he's really able to stretch the field. You saw that a couple weeks ago as well. Maybe the ultimate for me is just the fact that when you look at Patrick Mahomes, he's going to find a way to escape pressure at times, and I know I said earlier the pass rush is going to be key. He just does things that we can't coach. You don't know how it's happened, and he just does things that, you scratch your head. I'm not sure how that took place. On the flip side with San Francisco, again, Coach already mentioned it, heavy run game, and because of that, you have a great play action. And I think what'll be interesting to see is how often Garoppolo is going to be under center. And that might be the key to success for them, because if they're able to do that, he gets a better read on the safety. They're able to run the ball a lot more efficiently, but it's going to be tough for Kansas City to predict when that play action's coming. That's one thing that Garoppolo does so well. So as long as they can keep the run game going, I think that'll be a key thing for people to see. Is if he's under center, things are going well. If he's in shotgun, it means he's probably playing catch-up, and it's a little bit tougher. Another guy that's great to watch, obviously, is Kittle. He's so enjoyable just because he's so physical. He punches you in the face. Great on the run. Great with the ball in his hands. I think he's a treat, and if San Francisco ends up winning, he could be that X factor for them.
Possible MVP. We'll get into that after.
Right.
Don't say anything yet. Coach Mills, what do you got there?
I just think, looking at the numbers, I didn't realize that San Fran was actually a little bit better than
that surprises me.
Than Kansas City. The one thing I think that they do well is, they do run the ball, but they can pass the ball. They threw for 281 yards a game or something like that. I mean, it's I think they take what teams give them. And that's where I think Kansas City's going to be in trouble, is that they can run the ball or they can throw the ball. And Kansas City's defense is not very good. I mean, it really isn't. And you know, I just think they're going to play very well today offensively. I think they'll do whatever. Again, if it's working, they won't change it. If they got to run the ball 40 times, they'll run the ball 40 times. If they got to pass it 30 times, they'll pass it 30 times. And that's the key to, I think, if you're successful, just keep doing it. I mean, sometimes the coaches outcoach themselves and they say, you know, let's try something different. That's too easy, you know, and it's just, hey, if it's working, run it.
Okay. I guess, you know, we talked about Mahomes quite a bit, and Garoppolo's now been mentioned because we're talking offense here. Is Garoppolo as good as Mahomes? Is he as valuable as Mahomes?
No. I don't think
Like,
so.
is there more pressure on Mahomes because he's so valuable than what there is on Garoppolo because maybe he's got a little more balance to work with?
Mahomes, from the very first time he came to the NFL, his very first game that he played, has never shown pressure is an issue.
Oh, he's got ice in the veins.
It's one of those guys where his dad's a former major league pitcher. So you look at a guy who came up in a professional athlete's family and has had success everywhere he's been and every facet of life and every sport he's played. Some guys are just above pressure. I think he's one of those guys that he's not going to feel it. So I don't know if it's more on him. The other thing is Garoppolo, he's managed games, but if he doesn't play well and they lose, I'm pretty sure he's in the last year of his contract next year. So that's a thing where he's playing for his contract. Mahomes is in Kansas City for as long as he wants to be in Kansas City. So if you're looking at pressure, I think it's more on Garoppolo, actually.
All right. Agree with that one, Coach?
You know what? I'm trying to think, when can you actually say Patrick Mahomes had a bad game? Like, maybe not to the elite
he
level
played
that
against
he's used
the
to.
Lions,
Lions was
actually.
his worst game.
That was his worst game here in Detroit.
Right.
And he still had a 100 quarterback rating.
Yeah, he was.
You know what I mean? Like, I just
He
haven't
was
seen
very
him.
average.
Yeah,
that
he
game.
was.
He's an
Very
athlete. I
average.
mean,
he
he was
wasn't
an athlete.
horrible by any means. but he
Right.
was
I
very
just
average.
haven't seen it where there's a disaster
No.
by him, and I think he just elevates the play of everyone around him.
Agree.
I just haven't seen him have that kind of pressure, and at the same token, this is the first time Kansas City's been in the Super Bowl since, Super Bowl IV? I mean,
50 years.
I don't think there's pressure you want to win, but I don't think it's like he's got the weight of the world. I mean, the fact that they got there is a big
Right.
deal. I think it might be more so with Garoppolo just because of what his situation's been. He's been to a few Super Bowls, albeit as a backup, but I think a little more experience is on his side, and he's got that defense around him where if the defense is playing really well and he starts making errors and turns the ball over, there'll be a lot more pressure on him, whereas the Chiefs are giving up a lot of points. That's nothing new for Mahomes. He's been
Right.
playing catch-up since he's been in the league.
You mentioned 50 years since Kansas City hit the Super Bowl, Coach Mills. It's been more than that for the Lions. So it's getting a little nasty there over in Detroit. So, all right, that's a look at the offense. We're going to take another quick timeout. When we come back, we're going to check out some special team stuff, and we'll get predictions from the coaches, the MVP, and a final score for you. This is the Super Bowl edition of We Pick 'em.
Here, it's about you. Your passion, your skills, stepping up to the challenge. It's here where we rise above, soar to our full potential, and where we become work ready. St. Clair College. It's time to take flight. Rise above the ordinary.
Are you passionate about a particular sport? Would you like to combine it with your education? Are you thinking about a career in one of the many rewarding construction-related trades? Do you love subjects like science, technology, engineering, or math? Take a look at the academies of the Windsor-Essex Catholic District School Board. You'll be glad you did. And years from now, you'll look back on your high school days as the best times of your life. The academies of the Windsor-Essex Catholic District School Board. We're with you all the way.
Thanks for sticking around. Welcome back to the We Pick 'em Super Bowl edition here at We Digital Productions, our final show of the year, talking NFL. We've got some of the best coaches in our area to help us out with the show today. Head coach J.P. Tricelli to my far right of the University of Windsor Lancers, Coach Glenn Mills of the Essex Ravens in the middle, Coach Mike LaChance of the Achill Fratman next to me. Sorry about your luck, you got the short straw there, but it's
Look
okay.
taller this way, though.
Well, yeah, well, that's not a problem. Anybody looks taller anyway, so. Okay, so we've broken down the defense, we've broken down the offense. We're going to get into some specialty team stuff. Do we have that there for our guys? Here we go. Oh, we're going to take a look at some matchups. Okay, I like that even better. These are obviously the kickers. You know, with a 1.5 point spread, I mean, can this
big.
game realistically come down to a field goal? You know, I mean,
could be.
you think of that. How about you start with this one, Coach Mills? I mean, not a lot to talk
You
about.
know, and I'll be honest, I'm not a big kicking guy. I mean, but Gold is pretty good. I mean, he is solid. It's
Damn kickers, right?
Not one of my favorite positions, but I mean, 54 yards. You know, he shows he can get it done, and I mean, I would probably say I think actually I have my fantasy. Robbie, so.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Okay.
so he had a pretty decent season.
Yeah, he had a good season, yeah, absolutely. What do you think, Coach? How important is this area, Coach Uccelli?
It's not as big as it is in the Canadian game. That's for sure.
There you go.
You know what? I read somewhere that Gold didn't have his best overall season, but I don't think either's really missed in the playoffs. I mean, they've both been sharp when called upon. I don't know if it's going to come down to. Like, it'd be hard to say who has the better kicker at this point, because I think both have been kind of automatic in the playoffs and really haven't been really called upon too much as, hey, here's a key kick that you're going to have to get in, because both games have kind of been blowouts for each team as they got through the playoffs. It'll play a factor if it comes down to a key kick,
Well, yeah.
and again, I don't know if I could lean one way or another to say who has the edge in that department. Maybe the only thing to keep in mind is that first game, Kansas City had some trouble, obviously, against the Texans, and it was the block kick, and I'm sure a lot of that's been kind of fixed up, and you're in Miami. I don't think weather's going to play a big factor, so I don't think it's going to be as big a telling factor as we might think. Obviously, if it comes down to a final kick, then, yeah, there'll be a pressure on an individual, but I couldn't tell you who the better guy is at this point.
I don't know. Do I ask you about kickers, Coach LaChance?
If I had it my way, we'd go for 2 every play. Never
There you
kick
go.
field goals, so it's a necessary evil. But I think both coaches kind of said it the right way. Both kickers are able. So I don't know if there's a huge advantage, but maybe the experience goes to Gold a little bit more.
That's where I kind of lean. I just Gold's got that experience factor, I guess. Let's take a look at conference. I believe we're going to take a look at quarterbacks. The quarterbacks here first. And then some of the other players offensively, obviously. So again, we've talked somewhat about this, but now we're getting to look at some of these numbers. Of course, I mean, it's no secret, Kansas City throws the ball. They throw the heck out of the ball. So, Coach LaChance, why don't you start with some of this and what stands out to you here?
Just the ability of Patrick Mahomes, we've mentioned it a few times, to be off the spot and still be successful. He can get flush from the pocket and really make plays. Garoppolo is more of an in-the-pocket, play-action type of guy. So there is a huge difference in the style of passer that they are. Not to mention that I don't think Kansas City has a chance in Hades to win a game throwing 8 passes, whereas San Francisco likes to throw 8 passes. So it's one of those things where, Kansas City's going to rely more on it. And Mahomes is real good at hitting those hash mark seams, those 20, 25-yard throws to Kelsey and the slot on the other side. And that's really the biggest weakness of the San Francisco defense. They don't have many of them, but that's one of them, and it's just a nature of the coverage. If they want to play that cover 3 look, they're going to give up that seam. And if they give up that seam too many times, it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Coach Uccelli, we talked a little bit about running here, and obviously Mostert had the monster game there, over 200 yards in the one game. What are you thinking here with some of these comparisons?
Both running backs bring kind of, I think, really a different look. I mean, he talked a little bit about what Damian Williams does in that West Coast style offense, where he can run the football, but at the same time, he's great out of the backfield with those short passes. What Raheem really brings to the table is the fact that he's got speed, and he really fits that zone style running game very well with San Francisco. And when he finds the hole, it's tough to bring him down. And I think the argument some people have, hey, they don't really rely on Garoppolo a lot, and haven't had to. Coach Mills said it, you take what the defense is going to give you. If you are able to keep pounding the ball and use the clock, why do you need to go back and throw the ball around? And I just look at the 2 teams they beat to get here, Minnesota and Green Bay, and those games allow them to do that. I don't know if they're going to be able to get away with that against Kansas City. I think you're going to see Garoppolo throwing a lot more. And I just look at as good as a game that they had running the football. You look at the job Kansas City did against Derrick Henry, who's a much more physical back. I think they're going to be up for the challenge. I can't see Mostert having the same type of game that he had against the Packers.
Yeah, that'd be quite the impact, that's for sure. Coach Mills, we talked about the tight ends a little bit there, and you look at Samuel and Kelsey. I mean,
Kelsey's a beast. I mean, there's
Yeah,
no question.
yeah,
He's probably the best tight end in the game. I know that we talked about
Kittle.
yeah, I mean, he's energetic. He brings a lot to the table. But I mean, I just think as an all-around player, Kelsey is a beast. And he's going to be pretty solid. It's an interesting stat though that if you look at it, it's 2-1, passing for Kansas City compared to San Fran. Yet it's 2-1 for running the football, right? So it's going to be an interesting matchup. I always believe this: when you pass the football that much, 2 out of the 3 things that happen are bad. It's an incompletion and an interception. When you got to throw the ball, you're throwing the ball like that many times.
yeah, but Mahomes doesn't have an interception yet.
He doesn't yet.
Yeah, okay.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I think you got to be able to win football games. You got to be able to run the ball and control the ball. And I think they'll limit what Mahomes does by controlling the football, running the football, play action pass, and stuff like that. So I don't think he's going to have as many opportunities as he's had in other games.
Okay. Anybody else want to add anything to that, offensively or anything? Anything else that stands out to you guys? We're good? Okay, so go bet because these guys told you. All right, we're at the point now where we're going to wrap things up. So before we let our coaches go, we want to get predictions, and we want to get your MVPs. So you guys have been talking about it here for the last 20 minutes or so. Put up now. Who's gonna win this game? And well, let's start with the over/under. How about if we do that? They say 55. Just want yes or no, over/under. What do you think, Coach Urcelli?
I'm going to say no.
Under?
Under.
You're going to go under?
Under.
You're going under?
I'll go over.
Okay, I'm going to go over too. So we'll do that a little bit different. I don't know anything.
It's a lot of points.
So, a lot of points. 27, 29, 56. We're over. I'm going to go. I'm going to
Barely
go.
over.
I'm going to go
I'm
with
gonna go
Coach's
over
side. I'm going to go over, but we'll
Yeah.
see. It's a lot of points, I guess.
It'll be under though, because I said it's over.
That's right.
Geez, I'm taking your side for once.
You're gonna be wrong now.
Yeah. You throw that on me?
Just
Jeez.
do the Costanza. Go opposite. Go opposite.
All right. Let's get into. Let's start with player MVP.
For me, I think Kansas City's going to win this game, so I'm going to go with Mahomes as the MVP.
And is that like absolute must that he has to be the MVP for them to win?
I think so. I don't see anyone else getting it. If Kansas City's able to do this and beat a real great San Francisco defense, he's got to be the catalyst. I just don't see someone else going off to be the difference maker. If it's Tyreek Hill, I think you're going to be throwing touchdown passes. So
Some people are throwing Tyreek Hill out there. They're saying that.
It's just who's throwing the ball
I'm
to
just
him.
the messenger here.
It's pretty. You got to have a really great game if the quarterback isn't getting the MVP.
So you're picking Kansas City, and you're going Mahomes as your MVP, and less than 55 points.
Correct.
I like that, Coach. Coach Mills, where are you going?
San Francisco
Ooh, okay.
and Bosa, MVP.
Wow.
Wow,
That's a stretch.
that's
So
wow.
that's,
You know
yeah,
what?
he's gonna have multiple
He's gonna
sacks.
have- he's gonna have a great
Coach
game.
Moore, 3 years ago when Denver was in, he picked Williams, the linebacker.
Wow.
And he was the.
I think
So-
he's going to have a stellar game today.
Wow.
Well, I think he's got to have a stellar game.
And if they win, I mean, it's going to be a defensive guy that's going to make it happen, and I think he's got the tools to make it happen.
All right, and you said under 55. Well, if it's
No,
going to be a
yeah, it's going to be
defensive
under.
guy
It's
for
going to
you,
be under.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
That's what I'm picking under.
So Coach Mills is going to go with San Francisco, and he's going to take Mr. Bosa as his MVP. I'm always excited to hear what you got to say, Coach.
I'm gonna go Kansas City as well. I almost said San Francisco
Yeah, you
because
said
yesterday
it.
I would have picked San Francisco. I've been flipping back and forth this week, so I'm gonna go Kansas City today. That's what's in my mind right now, and I think
Should we
the
call you in
Michael
a
Jordan
couple
of
hours and-
football is right now Patrick Mahomes. I think he's a magician. I don't want to be too cliche and put him as MVP because we've already had him picked, so I'll go with Kelsey with a 3 touchdown
That's a
game.
good one, too.
3 touchdown game by the uncoverable tight end.
All right.
3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns.
There you go.
He gets 3 touchdowns. He deserves to be the MVP.
Yep. Mahomes throws 4, he gets 3 of them. That's what I'm going to do.
Wow, okay. I'm going to go KC. I've liked KC all year. Even when Mahomes was out, this team still performed pretty good and won games. Like I said, I think it's going to be more than 55, but you know what? For some reason, I think Tyreek Hill is going to be a factor here. And again, I understand what you're saying, Coach Chercelli. Somebody's got to get him the ball. I just think they're going to do some things differently, to get him the ball.
We
So
can do that.
yeah. So I'm going to go with that, and that's where it's at. So. Again, don't bet on me though, guys. I'm warning you now. Don't bet on me. This is one game this year. I have to say, in most recent years of Super Bowl, this has been a hard one to really, because you got two teams that are really strong in certain areas, and it clashes, and it's whoever I guess is going to win those battles. Anything like you look at the schedules, how they got there, things like that. Could that factor in here at all? And one thing I say about Kansas City, I mean, they got beat up by New England last year. It's a learning curve. You guys know that, being sports guys. You have to learn through your losses. Does that factor in at all here?
I think it
I mean,
has
San
to.
Francisco hasn't been here for a long
San
time.
Francisco went from 4-12 to
Yeah,
12-4,
yeah.
so it's really, I mean, like you said, if it's a learning curve and a stepping stone, then Kansas City's certainly earned
Paid their
weight
dues,
there.
yeah.
For sure.
You think so? Anything like that, Coach? Anything with their schedule or anything?
Yeah, I think whenever you have the 2-week break, you can kind of throw that out the window, and sometimes it might go to who the more veteran coach is, and obviously Andy Reid's been in that spot before. By the same token, I'm sure Kyle Shanahan's watched that New England Atlanta game to death, and it might be why you're seeing him run the ball a lot more. And I think they both have learned, and it's how you approach those 2 weeks going into it. And I think a lot of anyone being beat up or anything like that, you can kind of throw it out the window. If there's an edge, Kansas City had to just go through that. But by the same token, as I mentioned, you got a guy like Richard Sherman, who probably is that veteran presence with San Francisco, saying, "Hey, this is what we need to do." And we all know that close loss again to New England, so that's going to be resonating in the back of his mind.
Okay. Yay or nay? Okay. Who wins the coin toss?
Kansas City.
San Fran.
San Fran.
Okay. Who scores first?
I'll say San Fran.
San Fran.
KC. First possession.
All right. And does J-Lo flop the halftime show?
No.
No. Do we care about the halftime show?
No.
That's when you got to refill.
Exactly. None of us got it.
Everybody's talking
just-
about J-Lo and his halftime show. I'm like, you know what? Jimmy Johnson, actually, I give him a lot of credit. On one of the shows I watched earlier in the week, they asked him, how excited are you to watch the halftime show? And he said, I'm there to watch a good football game. I just love that answer, because that's where the spotlight's got to be. So, good stuff. Coach Chercelli, thanks for coming in. Coach Mills, thanks for coming in.
Thank
Coach
you.
Shaw, thanks for coming in. I know it's a day where you guys like to just unwind, relax, and get the food going. Coach Chercelli, really, if you need some guests, seriously, nothing against your menu there, Coach Mills, but I just don't want
Ribs,
to
no
fight
kidding,
25
ribs. I mean,
other
I ain't got
people.
the ribs on,
I don't
but
want to fight 25
but
other
we
people.
gotta give-
That's all.
Yeah.
But hey, guys, enjoy the game, and good luck with the upcoming football seasons. You guys do a great job for our community. Keep it going strong, and we'll look forward to talking more football down the road. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's our special edition of the We Pick'em Super Bowl show. Super Bowl 54 is set to kick off, just a little more, less than 4 hours from now. So enjoy the game, enjoy the food, and be careful. Don't drink and drive. Stay home, stay at a friend's place, get a cab, get a ride, whatever you need to do, though. Make sure you're safe wherever you're at, and just make it a good Super Bowl. Until next time, till next season, this is Dominic Papa wishing you a great day. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon.